What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Kyle Lauletta in the house, New York Giants quarterback. How are you, sir?
Great, doing great. Thanks for having me.
So we had this thing planned out, and you just happened to come the day after your teammate Odell Beckham gets traded. I mean, we were talking before, you were surprised as anybody. So, I mean, you got to play with him for one season. So just where were you when you found out, and just take us through it.
Yeah, I was actually at a Richmond alumni event. We were at the New York Athletic Club, and you know, a lot of Giants fans, a lot of old Richmond alums that were coming in, and at one point I just had everybody coming up to me, did you hear, did you hear? And I had no idea, and they told me the news. I was obviously disappointed, but you know, what I've learned, one of the things I've learned in my 1 year being with the Giants is it is a business, and it's grueling, and sometimes you see guys that you grow close to and you develop relationships with just get, you know, traded the next day and their lockers cleaned out, and it's tough. I mean, Odell was huge to New York and to our team, and you know, he was a leader within the locker room, and he's an emotional guy. He plays with a lot of passion, and he's one of the most competitive guys I've been around. So, you know, he was a joy to be around, and he was always great and very supportive of me. So I sent him a text, and you know, I wish him all the best. I think he's, you know, wherever he goes and wherever he plays, he's going to have an amazing career.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good football spot for him with what Cleveland's doing right now, too.
Yeah, and then they got a lot of young talent, and you know, it just goes to show you, I mean, a couple good young players can turn a franchise around, and that's the beauty of the NFL. Yeah. I mean, there's so much parity, and you see so many teams, you know, move guys around, and you just never know how it's going to shake out, and we'll just have to wait and see,
Definitely.
You know, how the season turns out.
Yeah, and even for you, like going into year two, you're going to have a whole different crop of teammates. Giants have a number of picks. You know, Landon Collins is not there anymore, so you're getting a really good lesson in the business right now. And it's weird for you because you're not around these guys right now. So what has it been like the last couple of weeks, just realizing it's going to be a totally different squad when I get back? Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, last year's a perfect example. I think we had, of our 53-man roster, we had 35 different players from the previous season. So that's a huge turnaround. And obviously, you know, we had the new coaches come in, and you know, David Gettleman, our general manager, and he has a vision for our team, and he's made a lot of changes. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, when the season's over, a lot of the guys kind of take some time away and go on vacation or spend some time with family, and then everybody kind of works out and goes different places. But once you get back, I mean, even in those short, you know, that short period of time, a lot can happen, and a lot of guys can get moved around. So, you know, but it's all about just, you know, coming together with the guys that you have, and you know, just building relationships and trying to build team camaraderie and try to be the best you can be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So football has obviously been a part of your family for a long, long time. It just seems like you were destined to be a football player. So whether it was your dad or grandpa, I mean, when did you realize that football could be the thing in your life?
Well, man, I've always wanted to play in the NFL. One of the really cool stories I thought was when I got drafted, my mother showed me this writing. I had a class assignment when I was in pre-kindergarten. It was in 1999. I was 4 years old, and the assignment was, what do you want to be when you're older? And in my sloppy 4-year-old handwriting, I wrote, I want to be a professional football player. And she kept it, and all those years later, she gives it to me. And I've always wanted to play, but you know, it hasn't always been easy for me. I started out, first year I tried out for quarterback. I was third string. Second year I was third string again, and but quarterback was something I wanted to do. Like you said, my father played quarterback at Navy, and my older brother was the starting quarterback at my high school before I was. So I always had great football coaches in my own house.
People to live up to.
Absolutely, and from my grandfather playing, you know, I always looked up to and admired him. And I've just always wanted to do it, and I think just each year I got a little bit better, and just kept improving, and it's been a wild journey, but you know, here I am.
Yeah, definitely. So besides the family, who are the quarterbacks that you look to early on? Like, I love this guy, I love the way he plays.
Yeah, it's funny. Matt Ryan is a guy who's actually from my hometown, Exton, Pennsylvania. Okay. So I watched a lot of film on him. I like the way he plays. I think we have some similar skill sets, and you know, I just love his mechanics and the way he moves his feet, and that's always a guy that I watched. You know, Tom Brady's another guy who
good one to have.
Speaks for itself. And you know, we had a lot of similarities. In my first year that I started at Richmond, we had a coach who came from Penn State. His name's Charlie Fisher. He's a guy that I still keep in touch with. I'm very close with, and it was neat because he came from Penn State where Bill O'Brien was the head coach, and I think he brought a lot of Bill O'Brien philosophy and a lot of New England Patriots type offense. So just naturally, as we're installing plays and stuff, we're just seeing a lot of the Patriots stuff and what they do. And I mean, say what you want about Brady, but his resume speaks for itself. And
no question about it.
What is it? I think he's up to 6 rings now.
6 rings,
I mean, unbelievable, and you know, probably. I mean, I think he's the greatest football player of all time. So
and
definitely
it doesn't matter where you get drafted, too.
No, exactly.
You know?
It's a great point, and a lot of great players, you know, were guys that didn't get drafted, you know, very high. Let's talk about Antonio Brown. You know, Antonio Brown's a 6th rounder, and
Central Michigan, right?
Unbelievable. So, you know, I think it goes to show you that you can make it from anywhere. It doesn't matter where you play. You know, if you do what you need to do, and those NFL scouts will find you. It doesn't matter
if you have the skills. You can make it happen. And
No
you're a
doubt.
small school guy with Richmond, so I feel like the small school guys have a little extra chip on their shoulder.
Sure.
So going through that draft process, getting drafted by the Giants, what were some of the challenges in overcoming and saying, I was a really great quarterback, and yeah, I went to Richmond, but don't define me by just my school?
Absolutely. I mean, just kind of coming up, I didn't really get recognized till my senior year.
Right.
I think just by the nature of the way our offense was playing, we put up a ton of yards. I think the first game we played in was against Sam Houston State. We had a shootout of a game. I think I might have thrown for 540 yards, something crazy. And I just think
one of those crazy FCS games.
Oh,
yeah.
Just a total shootout. I mean, just going back and forth. And I think once, you know, my passing statistics, it was like 400 passing yards a game. I think maybe, you know, through the first 3 or 4 games, the scouts started to recognize me, and then they started to come by the school. And just the more they found out about me and they talked to people, and the more they watched the film, I think they were intrigued. And you know, I was somebody that you know, had potential to play in the NFL. And then, you know, I think one of the biggest moments for me pre-draft was getting invited to the Reese's Senior Bowl. Obviously, a very highly touted game with a lot of great players, and you know, you don't see a lot of small school guys, especially quarterbacks, playing in those games. So, you know, I was really fortunate to get an invite. You know, I was thankful that Phil Savage, the director at the time, invited me to the game, and it was just a great platform for me. And then performing well in that game, I think, kind of jump-started me and kind of helped me, and ended up getting drafted.
Yeah, so that definitely helped. And you mentioned that your mom found the old thing that you wrote when you were 4 years old. What else do you remember that night when you got drafted?
I just remember just my whole family just being very happy for me, and you know, they've seen how hard I've worked, and you know, all that I've been through injuries and setbacks, and like I said, starting out and being a 3rd string my first 2 years. So it hasn't been easy, but they know how much I love it and how hard I've worked for it. So I just think everybody was proud of me, and just happy to see it, you know, finally come to fruition.
Definitely. So you get to the NFL, you've dreamed about this, you've read about it, talked about it. What were the surprising things initially that you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is a thing in the NFL?
Well, I don't know. I think maybe just how much of a commitment and how many hours you spend. You know, I think that, you know, as far as the speed of the game and just the whole feeling of it, it's really not all that much different from college. And when people ask me, man, how does it feel? And I say, man, it just feels like I have a new set of teammates.
Yeah.
You know, I have a new set of guys, and obviously you don't hang out with some of your teammates as much off the field because you spend so much time in that building. And when the guys get out of there, they're going home to families, and they got, you know, bigger stuff to take care of. But it was great. I think just getting to know your teammates that are so much older than you. I mean, talk about Eli Manning is you know, in the quarterback room with me, and he's 38 years old, and just had his fourth kid. So
it's crazy.
It's just different, but everybody is just so amazing, and you really get to meet some amazing people throughout the organization, not just players and coaches. There's a lot of people that work for the Giants that I've gotten to know, and I value those relationships, and it's just been a blessing.
Yeah, it's a great family-run organization. And you mentioned Eli, just being in the quarterback room with him, because we've seen him take guys under his wing over the years, but you've lived it. So what have been some of the most important things you've learned from him?
Well, I think first and foremost, he is a creature of habit, and he has a very set routine that he kind of sticks to and works for him. And You know, he eats the same thing for breakfast every morning. He you know, he watches film.
What's he eating for breakfast?
Well, he eats, Eli has this he gets this oatmeal and he puts this fruit in it and all this other stuff, and I don't know.
It's like just classic Eli, like as basic and simple as it gets.
No, but he sits, same breakfast, and he just has a routine that kind of works. And it's one of the big things I've learned from him is that as a pro, you kind of have to figure out what your routine is because there's so much preparing that that you go through as a quarterback, and you kind of figure out, hey, I'm going to do this day. I'm going to have this film watched by this time, and I've gotten to watch a lot of film with him and kind of. Basically share his routine and kind of feed off of him and what he's been doing, but that's like probably the biggest thing I've learned from him is just get into a routine that works for you and just kind of know where you're at in the week, and that way there are no surprises,
right.
and when you get to the end of the week you feel like, hey, I've done what I've needed to do, and one of the biggest things going into a game is just feeling confident in your preparation and feeling like you're prepared and ready to go out there and execute the game plan and just do everything that the coaches have coached you to do. So he's a perfect example of that.
And I don't think people understand that each week you're preparing as if you're going to play, whether you're the backup or the third string. And then, you do all the prep, you may not get out there, but then Washington game, you finally do get out there. And listen, it doesn't go the way I'm sure that you dreamed of, but just take me back through that experience and just reflect on it for me.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, it was a tough season. A lot of the year you don't know, am I the second guy, am I the third guy, am I going to be active this game?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a mystery, but like you alluded to, it doesn't matter. You're professional, you have to be ready, regardless of how many reps you take, you got to be ready to go. And it's difficult, it's a lot easier said than done, and you kind of just mentally have to go through those reps, and when Eli's in there, I just picture myself in there and just thinking in the back of my head, he's at the back of his drop, and when would I have thrown that ball, and would I have made the same decision as him? And then you look at the protection. There's so many other things you can do without actually physically being in there. The Washington game was we were in a blowout. I think we were up 40-0 when I got in, and it was unfortunate. I mean, I didn't play as well as I would have liked to, but I was a little bit nervous, and
I'm sure.
I usually, I'm somebody who normally doesn't get nervous for games. I mean, even through the preseason, I just felt so comfortable because I was so excited and ready to go. But I think the nerves got to me a little bit, and first play I rolled out was a close play on the sideline. It was in his hands, and close play, incomplete pass, but it just felt like, man, I just wanted to get one completion, and obviously I didn't have my best day, but I'm just eager to get back out there and take advantage of the next opportunity I get.
You learned from that. Did you have family at that game?
I did
I'm
actually.
Sure being down there.
Yeah, it was. They were just so proud and so excited to see me,
Absolutely.
but I was upset. I mean, as a competitor, I mean, we won the game, and I'm still, I have to tell myself sometimes, hey, look, this game, it's bigger than just you. I mean, we won the game. We were on track. We crushed them. That was probably one of our best games all season.
Absolutely.
So I was happy for the team and all those that played well, but obviously disappointed in myself. But my parents were there and just supportive and just told me to, hey, keep your head up and just keep working and don't let it discourage you.
No doubt. So going into year 2, you think about that game, you think about all the experiences you had. What are some things you'd like to improve upon going into the second season?
Yeah, I think one thing is protections, understanding protections. It's talk about the X's and O's and what's difficult and everything. I've been in a lot of different offenses in college, and I've had some great coaches and with previous NFL experience who have implemented offenses that are complex, and that's helped prepare me. But the protections are probably the biggest jump when you get to the next level. And talk about Eli Manning. He's a pro. I mean, he is an expert. He's got it down, and the way he commands the huddle and switches protections at the line of scrimmage is he might be one of the best in the league to do it. So I've tried to learn a lot from him, and I think that's one of the things I've really focused on this offseason was looking at protections and try to be a little bit more sure of myself, because it happens so quick at the next level. You only have a certain amount of time, and you got to get that play off, and you don't have forever to survey the defense, and the clock's always running. So just being sharp and being quick and being decisive on calling protections, that's probably the biggest thing that I want to improve on for next season.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And I think the cool thing about your story is that you've studied leadership in college. You've obviously focused on that a lot. And going into year 2, you can continue to do that. But I think also the stuff that you're doing off the field right now. So tell me about the suicide prevention stuff with your sister and how people can contribute to that. Yeah,
we've our community, our Downtown East family has experienced some tragedies, you know, within the past year or so, and it's just really sad to see. And I know there are a lot of people that it has affected. Just, I mean, obviously the families, and we're all praying for them and supporting them. But it's been tough for everybody. You know, you hate to see that stuff happen. So, you know, at Downtown East, one of our graduation requirements is some sort of project that you have to get approved by the school. And my sister and 2 of her friends decided to renovate an old courtyard that was in our school that hasn't been touched for a long time, and nobody's really gone out there to use it. And you know, she thought, and her friends thought, it would be a great idea to kind of renovate that area and, you know, give students a place where they can go and spend free time. And you know, they wanted to symbolize positivity and you know, love and support and for each other, and just kind of symbolize and remember the ones we've lost. So it's a great cause. I actually just tweeted out a tweet about the GoFundMe page.
You donated as well?
And I donated, yeah, we just hope that she can get as much money as she can. And I think her goal was $5,000, so we're trying to hit that. And if she gets more money than that, she can even make the courtyard look better. I think they're looking into a shed or some other options to kind of just make that place as neat as possible and as good looking as possible. And I think it'd be really, really cool for our school, and it'd be something that everybody can rally around.
And it's great that we can just talk about mental health and suicide and really complicated issues, but whether you're an athlete or just a regular person, everybody's going through stuff. And it's nice, especially as men too, to just be able to shed that layer and say, you know what, it's okay to not be okay. You know,
absolutely.
I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, and even one of my old teammates at the University of Richmond fell victim to it, and it's so sad. I mean, I still get emotional, get goosebumps thinking about it. And like you mentioned, I mean, everybody goes through things in life. You know, I always say, if people look like nothing's wrong on the surface, everybody's battling something. Everybody goes through internal struggles, and it's okay to seek out help and to tell people that, hey, I'm going through something and I need your help. So like you mentioned, I mean, that's the most important thing, is just to encourage people to, hey, get help if you need it. And we're all a family, we're all in this together. So you know, just hoping that we can prevent these things from happening in the future. And I think we can all you know, take part in this, and we can all help to, you know, kind of prevent these things from happening in the future.
Definitely. So Kyle, going into year 2, Giants fans have been starving for some winning football. What would you tell Giants fans out there about how you guys are going to turn things around?
Well, I think you know, last year I think we led the league in I think we had 12 games that were decided within a touchdown.
You guys were right there.
And there were so many games where we were right there, and we were really close. And but that's what the NFL is all about, is every game's going to be close, and you know, that you have to pull through, and you have to, you know, end up on the winning side of those games. So but I think, you know, with a whole new coaching staff and a lot of new players, like we mentioned, you know, it takes a little bit of time to get to know each other and to feel comfortable with each other. So I think just one more year under our belts, just more comfortable in a new offensive and defensive system. You know, I think you'll see a lot of guys playing faster, you know, not thinking as much, and hopefully resulting to with more wins on the field. You know, I think we got a great shot. You know, we'll see how the roster ends up shaping up. We got a lot of draft picks heading into the end of the draft, and there's obviously a lot of great young talent out there. So I'm eager to see who we get in the draft, and, you know, kind of what our team looks like when we all get back. But we're all excited. We're all excited to get back into the swing of things and just see each other and start building that team up.
And you got Saquon too. Yeah, he's quite a beast.
Yes, he is. Yeah, no doubt. He's as good as they get. You know, he's the real deal, and he's a hard worker, and he's a natural born leader. So very proud of him, and can't wait to see what he does.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do. Kyle, happy early birthday.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll see you next time. You're on The Sit Down.